Chapter 9 Quiz Podcast. Just a reminder, be sure to study with your parents and make sure you look over all the vocabulary words that we've used this chapter. Okay, our first box here is energy from the sun. First question, what are the reactants or ingredients for photosynthesis? And very simply, if you think of our investigation, we had water, used the straw to add carbon dioxide, and also we had our light energy that we added to one of them. What are the products? So what do we end up with for photosynthesis? That's going to be oxygen and glucose or sugar. What is chlorophyll? Make sure you take note here, the difference between chlorophyll and chloroplast. Chlorophyll is the pigment found in the chloroplast, and that's what captures the energy in the light. What process do most living things depend on to supply them with energy? So you got to think, okay? Eating, consuming is certainly something that we do, but where in the end do we get that energy? So as you take a look at an energy pyramid, what's at the bottom? And that's, of course, the producer. So what do the producers do? What process do the producers go through? And that's going to be photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is what all or most living things, can't really say all, most living things depend on to supply them with energy. Biomes is our next topic. First of all, what is a biome? It's a group of land ecosystems with similar climates and organisms. And just some general characteristics of each biome. Now, we're getting detailed here into some of them, so we're going to let you look these up, either in your textbook or in your notebook. Which biome is cold and dry? Make sure you can recognize all the biomes that we talk about in a list. So if we have a list of them, you should be able to pull one of them that we've talked about or mark the one that we did not talk about. Which biome is typically populated by many grasses, along with a few shrubs and trees? Which biome receives less than 25 centimeters of rain each year, and they have large temperature shifts every day? And where are oak, maple, and beech trees typically found? So these are some of the more specific things that we're looking for on the quiz. So make sure you look these up, mark these down, and become familiar with them. Harry Potter food chain is up next. What is a food web? That's going to be the many overlapping food chains in an ecosystem. So what's a food chain? And just generally, that's going to go from producer to first level consumer, which will eat the producer, second level consumer, to finally the third level consumer. And here's just a simple example. Grass, producer. Grasshopper, first level consumer. Shrew is the second level consumer, and the owl is the third level consumer. So then we take a look at an energy pyramid. And this is a diagram that shows how much energy is available at each level of a food web. So even in the food chain. So as you go through, basically, it only gets 10% of the energy gets transferred to the next level. So when you look at this, the grass has 1,000 kilocalories in it. Okay, so that's what it produces. The grasshopper gets 100 of that from the grass. The shrew gets 10 from the grasshopper. And the owl, the third level consumer, gets 1 kilocal from the shrew. So you can see things get dropped pretty quickly here as it goes. Miscellaneous vocab. What is a decomposer? They break down the remains of organisms. Examples are bacteria and fungi. What is a producer? Organisms that capture energy of sunlight to make food. And these are found at the beginning of a food chain, like we showed you on the previous screen. What is an herbivore? That's going to be a plant eater, and that's typically found at the first level consumer. Continuing on, what is a carnivore? It's going to be a meat eater, found at the second level consumer. What is an omnivore? It's going to eat both plants and animals, also typically found at a second level consumer. Finally, a scavenger, and that feeds on the bodies of dead organisms. And one example, and something that we have around here, are vultures, turkey vultures specifically. Questions to do in the book. Page 345, page 346, and page 347. Make sure you just work through those as a little bit of practice. And just a reminder, study with your parents and look over all the vocabulary words that we've used this chapter. Best of luck.